Well, time has come, guys. Our very last episode of What's the Dill? Parting is such sweet sorrow. We have a very special episode today. Well, they're all special, aren't they? This one's extra special. We get to talk to LaTanya Richardson Jackson, Aaron Sorkin, two people I've admired so much throughout this entire process. And we're going to talk process. So, let's go. All right, here we are. We're going to LaTanya's room to see her process. Hey, LaTanya, can I come in?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Are you waking up your process?
Hi. Yes, I'm just getting through the English Channel.
Interesting.
I'm on my way to the Mediterranean.
Okay.
Which is a different kind of war. Hello, darling.
Hi.
This is how I start. It all begins here. I like to start in the water, you know, and get myself in my process. I've studied so long, you know, with Stanislavski and Chekhov and
Did you study?
Meisner.
Did you study with Uta Hagen and Stella Adler?
Both at the same time. And, you know, most people don't know what good friends they were. And we all used to hang out in the bars, and then we talk process. You know, there weren't a lot of women then who were recognized with such, you know, owning the process. And everyone wanted to talk about Strasbourg, and, you know, they were just the penultimate of knowing the Stanislavski system. So I've done Meisner, like I said, and them, and Nicholas and Alexandria as well.
And, I'm just curious. This water technique. Who did you learn this from?
I sort of found it in my creative process. You know, the creative process is whatever you will, whatever you can, whatever you can see. The imagination is like this, and it's fluffy, and it's in, and it's wet, and it's what do you want to do? It's what does the body want to flow through today? And I like flowing through water. I like flowing through water, but darling, in the dressing room, you know, it's not always easy to put the water in and then you gotta draw off. You only have 30 minutes.
That's true.
30-minute process.
So do you feel like you found Calpurnia in this water?
Calpurnia crossed the water, the heady Atlantic seas, to come to these shores, to work, to find herself in indentured servitude. But she ended up with good families, though, you know, so she just stayed with them through 3 generations. She just stayed with them. But Calpurnia is in every lap. I'm taking a lap!
Wow. Wow. And I see her. She's coming out.
She is coming out. She loves to swim, though. A lot of people say that black people can't swim, but we can swim. You know, I do a lot of accents when I'm in the water. I like to practice different kinds because the water carried ourselves from those far shores in Africa across the diaspora up to America, to the Americas. So along the way, we learned the languages, and all the languages sort of run together. Like my southern accent is really tinged with a lot of the Haitian patois and the British, the Brits.
So it's a combo.
It's an homogenized goulash of language that melds. It's not so combining. Each one sits separately. They don't melt into each other like that myth that they tell you about the melting pot. There's no melting pot. Each one is in the goulash. and they're separate. So they go, it's like, you see that Irish and the Scottish in it. And then there was a little of the South Africa coming out. So she has to travel across all of that to get to this. And her speech, can you hear all those notes? The speech. And that's what she does. I did. I said I did when you asked me.
Wow. Oh my God. I feel like I've been doing a show with you for almost a year now, and I never knew that this was behind all of it.
Behind these doors lies the weight of Calpurnia's life. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am to be able to bring her to life this way. What does Jeff Daniels' dressing room look like? I have a, what is his?
I know, I'm just curious, like it doesn't have all of this.
I didn't think so, but that's okay, because he has 2 rooms. I only have 1.
Wow, I didn't realize I didn't know you had a balcony.
Oh yes, I have a tub and I have a balcony. Does Jeff Daniels have a balcony?
I don't think so.
I know Celia Keenan Bolger has entire suite floor, so I was wondering, but I figured that, Jeff and I should take a little less than what Celia has.
Yeah, but I don't think she has a balcony either. I think you're the only one in the theater that has a balcony.
Are you kidding?
No.
She's the star of the show.
I know. It's crazy. She doesn't even, I don't think she even has an ensuite bathroom.
Oh, well, don't tell her I have one.
I won't.
Because, I can't give it up.
So what do you do out here?
I come out here and I do this.
Okay, interesting. And you do this before every show?
Yes.
Wow.
It's a cleansing breath.
Wait, LaTanya, we only have 15 minutes to get ready, so I think we should get dressed.
Let's go. Did he call 15? He's always calling 15, and then they try to write me up and say I'm late. I'm not.
Bowie.com. I have a very special guest here. We have the writer of To Kill a Mockingbird, Mr. Aaron Sorkin.
It's been a dream of mine to be a guest on What's the Dill for months.
For months. It could only be months, because it's only been on for months.
Yeah,
but,
so this is really exciting.
Thank you for fulfilling my dream as well. So here we are. My What's the Dill for you is, first of all, what's the deal with To Kill a Mockingbird, and how did you feel about it growing up?
I loved it growing up. I read To Kill a Mockingbird in 7th or 8th or 9th grade. I can't remember when, but that's where we usually read it. And watched the movie like a million times, and watched it a lot with my father, and we both choked up at the same spots and teared up at the same spots.
But what was it about the book when you were young that affected you?
I grew up in a almost all-white upper-middle-class neighborhood. There were 1,200 people in my high school when I was a senior, and 4 of them were black, 2 sets of siblings, so 2 black families. So To Kill a Mockingbird was really my introduction to racial injustice. And that's my biggest memory from it. That and how much Atticus reminded me of my father.
Did you ever talk about that with your father?
No. I don't think I did, and I wish I had. I remember, but many years later, I did talk about it. He passed away 3 years ago now. So I was just beginning to write this play before he died. And I remember telling him, because Jeff Daniels also says that Atticus is his father, and if you talk to a lot of people, they'll tell you that Atticus is their father. no matter what their background is, no matter what Jeff's father owned a lumber mill in Michigan. He's a Midwestern, a blue collar guy. My father was an intellectual property lawyer. Two different backgrounds. We both think our father is Atticus, and I think a lot of people feel that way. So I remember talking to my father about that. But among the zillion things you regret, I wish I'd remembered to say would have been that he was Atticus for me.
So, after high school, you went to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Broadway.com would be excited to know that you majored in musical theater.
I have a BFA in musical theater. I couldn't be more proud.
So I read that you learned how to write from listening to an LP or a record of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When listen, I like a lot of kids who went in this direction, I listened to original cast albums in my room and sang and danced along with them and everything. But my local library had an original cast album of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, a recording of those four actors, Uta Hagen and the other three, doing Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. It was a double album, and I listened to that in my room all the time. And I never, at that age, I didn't understand what the play was about, but I just loved the sound of the dialogue. And that was like music to me, and I just grew up wanting to imitate that sound.
Well, that's what I find so interesting about you, because as someone who's been a fan of yours for a very long time,
Thanks.
and now someone who's living in your text, I find it like sheet music. So I find it really remarkable that you majored in musical theater, and that you learned how to write almost orally, not almost, orally.
That's exactly right. You're talking about AUR,
Yeah.
orally, and that's exactly right. And what the words sound like is as important to me as what they mean. The spoken word, anytime it's being used for the sake of performance, as opposed to two people just talking, whether it's a commencement speech or accepting the presidential nomination or doing a play every night, the spoken word has the exact same properties that music does. Right? It's got tone, and it's got timbre, pitch, rhythm, all of those things. And you'll find, I mean, the actors don't need to be told in rehearsal. If they have inadvertently substituted a one-syllable word where a two-syllable word was supposed to be, they'll know that something felt off in that line.
I just figured out, I've been putting an all. I know. I've been putting an all in there in one sentence, and please don't hurt me, I just took it out 2 weeks ago, and now the sentence lands so beautifully. And that's your gift. And that's what I find so remarkable, and these are my favorite writers, is that it's in the writing. You just read it.
I really appreciate that. I really do. Now tell me what the line is.
What does this have to do with Bob Ewell falling on his knife? And I said,
you
what
left
does all this have to do with Bob Ewell falling on his knife? And it was a game changer. But I stumbled on it 3 times in a row trying to get it out of my head because I'd been doing it like that for 5 months. But now I'm clean and perfect.
What I'm troubled by is that I didn't correct you.
Yeah, why didn't you? If you could write any musical, what would it be?
Do you mean if I could write any musical that has already been written, if I could have been the writer?
No, it has to be something that doesn't exist yet.
Oh.
Is there a subject that you've been like, that should be a musical?
Yeah, it's an easy one, and it's one that gets talked about all the time, but The Princess Bride should be a musical.
It's happening right now. I think it's in development, isn't it?
It's been in development for a while with Adam Gettle, who is perfect for it. The problem is that William Goldman, who wrote the novel, who wrote the screenplay for the movie, and who was writing the book for Adam's musical, passed away about 6 months ago.
So they need
a book writer, and Bill Goldman took me under his wing shortly after I got out of college, and really had a lot to do with my development as a writer. And I think if there was a person who could pay respect to his novel, I should be considered among that group.
This is a hot tip. Would you write the lyrics as well?
No, Adam would.
That's Adam.
That's a whole different. Writing lyrics is just a whole different ball of wax. I don't know how lyricists do it. The really good lyricists, I don't know how they do it.
I think you could do it.
That's nice.
I believe in you, Aaron.
Do you?
Yeah.
I believe in you, Gideon.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am crazy about you on and off stage.
Ditto. Thanks for coming by.
It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Yeah, what's the deal?
That's it. It's over. I'll miss you guys. It's been a great 8 weeks. Thanks for following me around. As a great Patti LuPone once said, I love you and hope you love me.